Grandma again. I'm back for another story of Grandma's Story Time. I think it might be the school holidays. And I was thinking, what is a book that Corbin would like to listen to in the school holidays? And I found one. It's called The Adventures of the Wishing Chair by Enid Blyton. And when I look inside this book, put your glasses on, Grandma. When I look inside this book, to Vivian, best wishes for your 6th birthday. Love from Mummy and Daddy and Philip. I gave this to your mummy when she turned 6. And you're 6, so I thought you might like me to read it to you. The first one is called The Strange Old Shop. The adventures really began on the day that Molly and Peter went out to buy a present for their mother's birthday. They emptied the money out of their money box and they counted it. 75 pence, said Peter. Good. Now what shall we buy, Mother? Mother loves old things, said Molly. If we can find an old shop somewhere, full of old things, you know, funny spoons, quaint vases, old glasses and beads, something like that sort, that would be lovely for Mother. She would love an old tea caddy to keep the tea in, I'm sure. Or perhaps an old vase. All right, said Peter. We'll go and find one of those shops this very day. Put on your hat. Come on, Molly. And off they went and they ran into town. It's a shop with the word antiques over it that we want, said Peter. Antiques means old things. Just look out for that, Molly. But there seemed to be no shop with the word antiques printed all over it. The children left the main street and went down a little turning. There were more shops there, but still not the one they wanted. So they went on and came to a small narrow street whose houses were so close there was hardly any light on the road. And there, tucked away in the middle, was the shop. With antiques printed on a label over a dirty window. Good, said Peter. Here is a shop that sells old things. Look, Molly, do you see that strange little vase with swans set all around it? I'm sure Mother would like that. It is marked 50 pence. So into the old dark shop they went. And some flowers to put in it. It was so dark that the children stumbled over some piled up rugs on the floor. Nobody seemed to be about. Peter went to the counter and rapped on it. A tiny door at the back opened and out came the strangest little man, no higher than the countertop. He had pointed ears like a pixie. The children stared at him in surprise. He looked very cross and he spoke sharply. What do you want making a noise like that? We want to buy the vase with the swans around it, said Peter, muttering and grumbling to himself. The little chap picked up the vase and pushed it across the counter. Peter put down the money. Can I have some paper to wrap the vase in? He asked politely. You see, it's for my mother's birthday, and I don't want her to see me carrying it home. Grumbling away to himself, the little man went to a pile of boxes at the back of the shop and began to open one to look for a piece of paper. The children watched. To their enormous surprise, a large black cat with golden eyes jumped out of the box and began to spit and snarl at the little man. He smacked it and put it back in again. Then he opened another box. Out of that came a great wreath of green smoke that wound about the shop and smelt strange. The little man caught hold of it as if it was a ribbon and tried to stuff it into the box again. But it broke off and went wandering away. How he stamped and raged! The children felt quite frightened. "We'd better go without the paper," whispered Molly to Peter. But just then, another extraordinary thing happened. Out of the next box came a crowd of blue butterflies. They flew up into the air, and the little man shouted at rage again. He darted to the door and shut it, afraid the butterflies would escape. To the children's horror, they saw him lock the door. And then he put the key in his pocket. "We can't get out until he lets us go," said Molly. "Oh dear, why did we ever come in here? I'm sure that little man is a gnome or something." The little fellow opened another box, and hey presto, out jumped a red fox. It gave a short bark and then began to run around the shop, its nose to the ground. The children were half afraid of being bitten, and they both sat in an old chair together. They lifted their legs up off the ground, out of the way of the fox. It was the most curious shop they had ever been in. Fancy keeping all those queer things in boxes. Really, there must be a magic about there somewhere. It couldn't be a proper shop. The children noticed a little stairway leading off the shop about the middle, and then suddenly, at the top of the stairs, there appeared someone else. It was somebody tall and thin, with such a long beard that it swept the ground, and on his head was a pointed hat that made him look even taller still. "Look," said Molly, "doesn't he look like a wizard?" "Tibbet, Tibbet." "Tibbet, Tibbet, what are you doing?" cried the newcomer in a strange deep voice like the rumbling of faraway thunder. "Looking for a piece of paper," answered the little man in a surly tone, "and all I can find is butterflies and foxes, a black cat and—" "What? You dare to open those boxes?" shouted the tall man angrily. He stamped down the stairs, and then he saw the children. "And who are you?" he asked, staring at them. "How dare you come here?" "Oh, we wanted to buy this vase," said Peter. "Well, seeing you are here, you can help Tippet to catch the fox," said the tall man, twisting his beard up into a knot and tying it under his chin. "Come on." "I don't want to," said Molly. "He might bite me. Unlock the door, let us go out." "Not till the fox and all the butterflies are caught and put back in their boxes again," said the tall man. "Oh dear," said Peter, making no movement to get out of the chair in which he and Molly were still sitting with their legs drawn up. "I do wish we were safely at home." And then the most extraordinary thing happened. The chair they were in began to creak and groan, and suddenly it rose up into the air with the two children on it. They held tight, wondering whatever was happening. It flew to the door, but that was shut. It flew to the window, but that was shut too. Meantime, the wizard and Tippet were running after it, crying out in rage, "How dare you use our wishing chair? Wish it back! Wish it back!" "I shan't," cried Peter. "Go on, wishing chair, take us home." The chair, finding that it could not get out of the door or the window, flew up the little stairway. It nearly got stuck in the doorway at the top, which was rather narrow, but just managed to squeeze itself through. Before the children could see what the room upstairs was like, the chair flew to the window there, which was open, and out it went into the street. It immediately rose up very high indeed, far beyond the housetops, and flew towards the children's home. How amazed they were, and how tightly they clung on to the arms. It would be dreadful to fall down. "I say, Molly, can you hear a flapping noise?" said Peter. "Has the chair got wings anywhere?" Molly peeped cautiously over the edge. "Yes," she said, "it has little red wings growing out of each leg, and they make a flapping noise." "How queer!" The dog's barking at them. The chair began to fly downwards. The children saw that they were just over their garden. "Go to our playroom, Chair," said Peter quickly. Inside was a playroom for the children. The chair went to a big shed, and here they kept all their toys and books, and they could play any game they liked. The chair flew in at the open door and came to rest on the floor. The children jumped off and looked at one another. "Oh, the first real adventure we've ever had in our lives," said Molly in delight. "Oh, Peter, to think we've got a magic chair, a wishing chair." "Well, it isn't really ours," said Peter, putting the swan vase carefully down on the table. "Perhaps we'd better send it back to the shop." "I suppose we had," said Molly sadly. "It would be so lovely if we could keep it." "Go back to the shop, Chair," commanded Peter. The chair didn't move an inch. Peter spoke to it again. Still the chair wouldn't move. And there it was, and there it stayed. And suddenly the children noticed that the little red wings had gone from its legs. It looked just like an ordinary chair now. "See, Molly, the chair hasn't any wings," cried Peter. "It can't fly. I expect it's only when it grows wings that it can fly. It must have grown them when we were sitting in the shop. What luck for us." "Peter, let's wait till the chair has grown wings again, and then get in it and see where it goes," said Molly, her face red with excitement. "Oh, do let's." "It might take us anywhere," said Peter doubtfully. "Still, we've always wanted adventures, Molly, haven't we? So we'll try. The very next time our wishing chair grows wings, we'll sit in it and fly off again." "Hooray!" said Molly. "I hope it will be tomorrow." That's the end of chapter 1. Did you like that? Come back next time for chapter 2. Bye-bye.